Here it is, the Googan Squad Twitch rod. Green series. I'm finally going to discuss and talk about this rod, why I got it, why I like it. A couple things about this rod. It's got a really good look. The green and black, just aesthetics are great. There's some cool opportunities here with the branding. All right, so let's talk a little bit about just some of the key parts to the Twitch rod. It is a 6'9" medium moderate rod. So medium is the power of the rod, is how much kind of backbone it has, and the moderate is the action of the rod. Basically talks about how the tip of your rod works, and that comes into play and kind of specializes this rod. Googan came out with a number of different rods, kind of a series of rods, and they came up with some different fishing categories to try to make it simple. So all of the different rods has kind of an easy check system, and we're going to talk about that. But of their rods, I think this rod here is probably the most kind of niche rod, and it's actually probably the reason why I bought it. So there is a green series and a gold series. The green series is a little bit cheaper, but I think for the price point and what I was looking for, it was really just a really good point of emphasis. So this rod, I'm telling you, this rod has this rod is designed to move baits with the tip of the rod, hence the name Twitch. And so the reason why I got this rod is simple. I was really kind of, as a new fisherman in the early spring, I saw some videos that jerkbaits were really good to use in the winter. I bought a jerkbait, I threw it out, and within the first 2 casts, I caught a fish. So pretty much right away I was hooked. And then I started to kind of look into more information about what kind of rod you would need. I found a lot of different specs. I was looking around and I couldn't find much. These Googan Squad rods came out right at the same time. I saw that they had a rod specifically designed for Twitch-based items, jerk baits, poppers, walking style baits, and it was kind of really good. I was really struggling to find rods with a decent price point that were medium moderates, and so it was a good combination for me. Couple that with one of the really only topwater bites I've ever gotten is off of a Googan Squad popper bait, topwater, kind of where you twitch it along and it bloops water out. And so it was really a slam dunk for me. So that's the info on the rod, why I wound up getting it. Let's talk a little bit about some of the kind of fun parts of the kind of rod, just the small kind of details that I like, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to fish it. So just right here, again, just something small, but it has this really cool little Googan Squad kind of spot for where your finger goes. So I don't know, they just have all these long little touches. So one of the first things about these rods that I love and I really like is the reel seat. It just it's a click in. So I've loosened this up a little bit. You just twist, and just the way it clicks in, I don't know, it's something different about it, and I think they nailed that part. Simple little thing here, but I love this. All right, on the other side is the keeper. It has kind of instead of it being fully connected, you can kind of snap baits underneath. Right now I have a snap swivel on because I've been using those to try to try out as many baits as possible. Other key elements to this bait is the handle. So the handle is not as long as other baits, as other rods. So the handle is not as long as other rods, and that's designed to be able to tuck that handle in while you're using it. So just real quick. So you can hold that rod right up here and work the bait down without it kind of poking you constantly. So the smaller handle size is definitely a great feature when you're talking about using jerk baits. Another pretty cool feature on this rod is there is a ruler. So just a handy dandy ruler on the side. Starting right here, you can measure all the way up to 23-inch fish on this rod. I have used this a few times. Pretty cool feature. It's not on their gold series, but it is on their green series, and it's pretty cool. The next element that is really, I think, very interesting with this, the color. See how that transitions from the black to the green? First off, it looks cool. But not only does it look cool, but where that transition, so not only does it look cool, but where that transition is, it shows you where the rod loads up. It shows you where it starts to bend, and it gives you a sense of kind of that parabolic bend for each rod. So on this rod, it's a little bit more in the middle, because as a moderate rod, it doesn't load up on the tip right away. So what's cool about that is on these, all their the green series rods, it has that cool kind of transition, but it's kind of fun. The transition looks cool, but also its purpose. It tells you kind of where the rod bends, and I think that is something that's just kind of like a fun little small thing. So what's important about this rod, it is a moderate rod. It is meant kind of to specialize in fishing treble hook baits, that moderate bend, so the tip not bending as fast, and having more of that parabolic bend, more kind of deeper into the rod, helps you when you do get a fish on to not rip those treble hooks out of their mouth. So because it's the twitch rod, jerk baits, poppers, walking style baits, those all are traditionally treble hook baits. So the other thing that's interesting about all these Googan Squad rods is they have this catch smart system: reaction, twitch, muscle, and finesse. And they're trying to kind of place all of their different baits under these categories, and then this system on the rod tells you which type of baits this rod would be good to throw. So it's the twitch rod, so it gets the 4 checks on the twitch. It's a medium moderate, so it's not so great in the muscle. But because it's a medium moderate, it's not so bad on finesse baits and reaction baits. And so when I was looking at buying this rod, I was kind of looking for one that I could use for twitching, but also I can use this to throw the crankbaits in my tackle box. It may not be the best rod ever, but for me, who doesn't have enough money to buy a rod for every single thing, even though I've been trying, and my wife would say that's probably not true, it's nice to be able to kind of flip between. I could throw on a crankbait, a jerkbait, I could throw on a lipless crank onto this rod, and because it's got that moderate action, I can fish it. I recently did a video where I did the Googan revolver on here, and I fished that. So this is kind of right now going to be my top wooder and my jerkbait rod, which kind of has its own place kind of in the season. Right now, while the wood is cold, I've been crushing it with the jerkbait. I assume eventually it'll be more of the walking style bait thing. So those are just some of the kind of key components of the rod itself. Kind of just quick other, part of the rod I think it's good to show is it's designed to have a few different grip points. So you can grab it where your finger is just kind of along the back here, jerk from here. You can grab it so that you can palm the reel as such and work the bait down from there. I've also used it where I'm using my right hand and from the bottom again, so the lower kind of thing is designed to sit in here, but you can grab and kind of figure out whichever hand placement on the rod works for you. And I tend to kind of move it around a little bit here and there. I like this one. I can feel the line on this one, but just a couple cool different things. The whole purpose of this rod is that it's easy to use the tip of the rod to move the bait. That's what the twitch means. So let's take a look at it in live action. I've got some camera footage of using it, camera footage of catching a fish on it. So let's go just kind of take a look at some of those opportunities. Got one. Come on. Yep, I'm on.
Gotta get one. Wait, leave it.
Oh yeah, here he is.
Is that the same one?
Oh no.
That's a big one. Is that the same
Woo! It's a
one?
little. We're out here doing a little review of the Googan Squad Twitch Rod Green Series. We've already looked at some of the jerkbait action. Today we're gonna work this walking style topwater bait. We're gonna just kind of take a look at the action of the rod and how it can make it work and move. Tossing this thing out, letting it rest. Just a couple twitches and that thing is walking back and forth. Let's take a look at the rod here a little bit. Just subtle twitches back and forth here, and then twitching the rod back and forth. Makes that bait move. See if I can zoom in on the bait a little bit here. Can hear it kind of moving from here. So each subtle twitch on this rod, it's a little bit tough to film it and do it at the same time. So as we get closer, you'll be able to see it even better. But again, just tip of the rod, and you get that thing going back and forth. See if we can get both the rod and the bait in here. So now the other bait that I bought this for is a popping style bait. This is Googan Squad's version, the blooper. Okay, so we got this popper style bait, the blooper by Googan Squad, tied on. Again, this is the other kind of, I would say the main three baits and lures that this twitch rod is probably designed for. Is that jerk bait, that walking bait we just kind of looked at, and now this kind of popper style. So again, we're just gonna cast it out. And we're just gonna let it set a little bit. We're just gonna use that tip to kind of work the bait to create disruption in the water. Get that blooping noise. Just those quick little twitches creates bloops and pops. Zoom in on the bait itself over there. So those are the main three style of baits that I'm going to be throwing out and using the Twitch Shears rod for. But as I said before, it can be used for crankbaits. I've used it for crankbaits very successfully. I did also throw a whopper plopper style bait on it with pretty easy success. To recap, the reason why I like this Googan Squad Twitch Green Series rod, I thought the price point was exactly where I wanted it. I was having trouble finding a medium moderate rod, so the market is not saturated with these type of options, especially at this price point, and it fit exactly what I need. It's also a length that is a little bit shorter, which makes it easy for me. I'm a little bit taller, so 6'9" is pretty good for me, so I didn't need to go to the 6'6" range. So for me, this was a really good size. I just really enjoyed some of the small features, this bait keeper, the look of it, the aesthetics. The grip is definitely comfortable, and then also just the ability to also use this across the reaction and maybe even some finesse baits in a pinch if I needed to. So this, although it has a kind of a niche kind of niche twitch bait style, it can be branched out, and I've had success doing that. This has been by far my best rod. I've got the most fish I've ever caught of all the different rods that I have, this is the one that has caught the most, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. So I definitely recommend these type of rods, especially for the price point. I'm sure there's, you know, better rods, but for me, the price point, it really matched up. So that's my review of the Twitch Green Series rod by Googan Squad. Thanks for watching the channel. Hopefully you'll be watching me catch some fish on this thing in 2021. Have a great day. Let's go.